bum 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 bum. Klee's working on music. This is how exciting it is for me in the studio when Klee's working on music.
What?
Huh?
Who's there?
Rafi's tips for artists because he loves you.
Hola, you amazing artist, and welcome back into the studio. We've been pretty busy, so as you can tell, we haven't posted that many videos. We're back, and we have a answer for a question that a lot of you guys have been sending us, and that question is, should I date my artwork?
I date my artwork all the time. I like to take it out for strolls. Sometimes take it to restaurants. Not lately, of course.
Oh.
Actually, I've been having stay-at-home dates with my jewelry.
Oh my goodness. So to answer this question simply, really, it's all up to you whether or not you want to date your artwork, put the date on your artwork. It comes down to personal preference. One benefit of dating your artwork, putting dates on it, is that way you could keep track of when it was that you created it. And also, there are some hoity-toity curators and galleries and people in the art world that will say, like, you should date your artwork. You need to put the date on your artwork. Are you not a professional? They might chastise you or something like that.
We do this in the name of posterity and historical accuracy.
So here's the thing. I've been doing this for about a decade, and I think I've maybe put the date on, like, 4 pieces of art.
What was so special about those pieces of art?
I don't know.
What did those pieces of art ever do?
I think during the time I was like struggling with the idea, with that question, because you do read out there, there's 2 sides to this. Like, there are people out there that are like, you should date all your artwork and put the date on it because I don't know why.
Simply not completed unless we know the time period in your art career in which you conceived and produced this work.
But there's also nothing wrong with putting the date on your art because that way you could keep track. I know that there's a lot of my pieces that when I think about, like, when did I create that? I have to actually go back on social media and look and see when it was that I first posted that piece so I can figure out when I created the work.
Not entirely efficient because then you get on social media and you're like, wait a second, they have fully posable figure drawing models here that I could buy.
Hey, those fully figure drawing up things are awesome. You cannot control the perception of other people, and there are some people out there that think that things have an expiration date.
Like it's a car.
Yeah, like...
So they're like, I see this painting is a 2013 model. What can you do for me on the cost?
It's almost like they assume that because it's an older painting that it's worth less. I've actually gotten asked that question by a lot of artists who are like, what do I do with my old pieces? And I'm like, what do you mean, what do you do with your old pieces? Listen, guys, it's artwork. It's not milk. It's not something that has an expiration date, or the older it is, the worse. That's just not how it works.
Can you imagine if the Guggenheim was like, all of these pieces are old.
all of these pieces must go.
Mark them 70% off and let's get some new pieces in here.
That being said, sometimes the perception of the general public might be swayed that way because honestly, in the market that we're in now, not necessarily in the art market, but in consumerism, everybody wants the newest thing. You want the new computer, you want the new Apple iPhone, you want the new this. And unfortunately, that idea has also seeped into for a lot of buyers when it comes to buying the artwork because they look at a piece and if the date is on there, they'll think like, well, this piece has been out in the market for like 5 years and nobody's bought it. Subconsciously, it's like, what's wrong with it?
Well, it's got a little ding here. What would you do if someone walked into the studio and they were like, what's the newest painting you have?
I'd be like, it's right in here. That's the newest painting. It's in
so
here.
New, it's just concept.
It's one of the reasons that I don't put the date on my work because I just don't want to deal with somebody like looking at a piece, falling in love with it, and then figuring out that like, oh, that's a 2015, and then that being a factor that dissuades them. I have been thinking of putting the date on my work for my own personal reasons so that I can easily identify when it was that I created the work. I may want to know, like, when did I create this piece? Did I create this piece before I created this piece? And because of that, I thought to myself, you know what? Instead of putting an actual numbered date that somebody's going to be able to look at and they're going to make up their mind of what that date means, I think doing a coded date is actually a really, really good idea.
Ooh, like secret code?
Yeah, like secret code. For example, you could do everything that was created in 2020. You could have some kind of like cool symbol that symbolizes that. And that way, when you look at the pieces, you know that that means that those pieces were created in 2020. And for me personally, I would just put the date on the back somewhere because, like I said, it's for my own personal reasons that I want to be able to know when it was that I created this piece and where I was in my mindset when I created it.
And then the art world would be like, mysterious.
Yeah.
The artist had a code that
Ooh.
only the artist could interpret.
Yeah,
What does it mean?
Another simple code that I was thinking of was, you know, like on the keyboard, when you push the shift key and the numbers, whatever little symbol is that it is over the numbers, that's another way that you could date your work. So,
yeah, like the 2 is the at and the 1 is the exclamation point.
so you could do like for this year, it'd be what? It would be at parentheses, at parentheses. And then that would tell you that the piece was created in 2020. As far as whether or not you should you date your work, a professional artist dates as well. You know, I think when somebody becomes famous, that's where people become very obsessed with their earlier works.
Yeah, isn't it funny how when you're not well known, the older pieces are like, what kind of deal can you give me, see? And then when you get famous, they're like, ooh, this is an earlier period work.
What kind of deal can you give me, see?
What can you do for me, eh?
Huh, see?
I want to get a good deal on this model, see?
Really, what it comes down to, dating your work, that is a personal preference. And again, you guys, just because a piece is older, because you created a piece several years ago, doesn't make that piece less valuable. Even if the perception out there is that, like, the newest thing is the best. That's not how it works with art. Obviously, art is an evolution, but each and every single piece does tell a story of your journey as an artist, and so each piece is more valuable than the age would suggest. And in fact, I would say that the older pieces, the longer that you have them, the higher they go up in value, because now at this point, they're really, really telling a story. So in my mind, art ages like wine. It does not age like milk. It is not something that expires. Just because you created a piece several years ago doesn't make it a cheap knockoff piece or something like that. It's still a valuable, amazing piece that you created during your career as an artist.
I think the other thing is, like, it could be the assumption that, like, if you've had a piece for a while, then you're highly motivated to get rid of it, you know? So, like, that end of the, like, bargaining tools that a buyer might bring.
That is a factor, because I think a lot of times artists will get insecure because they've held on to a piece for quite some time, or it hasn't sold, so they think to themselves like, oh, well, people don't like it, or there's something wrong with it. And really, you have to get past all of that garbage, because all of that garbage is just that. It's garbage. It might just mean that the venues weren't right, or it wasn't time for that piece to sell. Either way, the person who that piece is meant for hasn't found it yet. So that's all. It doesn't decrease the value of the artwork that you created, no matter how old it is. What I'm planning on doing is maybe doing like these cool codes or stuff that only I know. That way, when I look at the piece, it's easy for me to identify when it was that I created it.
Secret codes are the coolest.
Yeah. Yeah, and not only that, but it makes it all like mysterious and artsy. Oh, he's so crazy. He created his own number date language.
200 years from now, teams of experts will be looking at it like, what could it represent?
What does this mean? You could do like a smiley face, or you could do like a face with a like, you know, like, I don't know, some weird face like what I just made. That's going to be my screenshot, by the way, for this video. It's gonna be
That's a good face.
I guess that's it. That's all I have to say. You guys, date it if you want to date it. Don't date it if you don't want to date it. Don't date it. We're talking about artwork.
You can date your art if you want to.
Ugh.
You
Okay,
can take
well-
it for walks, and you can take it for talks, and you can take it all around the town.
Now you've gone too far. And yeah, hopefully that answered those questions. We received several of those questions from you guys about putting the date on artwork. I know that that's a confusing thing if you look it up online. My perspective is, it is totally up to you.
Sometimes a customer wants you to date a piece of art because they're purchasing it. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. If they want you to date it, then that's fine. But, and again, I wouldn't date it in the front. There are people that ask me that question too, whether or not you should date the artwork on the front or the back. Should you sign it on the back, sign it on the front? I sign my work on the front, and if I do happen to date the work, then I sign it on the back with the date, with the code that I'm putting in there. But I don't have to sign it in the back. I don't have to sign it in the front. I don't have to do anything. I'm the one that's creating it. You're the one that's creating it. You decide what it is that you want to do with the work. Don't let anybody tell you what to do with your artwork, whether or not to date it or not to date it. You date whoever you want to date. And that's it, you guys. Thanks for everybody that sent me that question, because that it was something that I had struggles with in the beginning when I started my art career. I was like, well, are you supposed to date it or not? Like, what do you... Yeah, so it's really simple. Do what you want to do.
It sounds so lewd when you say date it from the back or date it from behind.
Oh, my goodness. Do me a favor, you guys. Discuss amongst yourselves how you feel about it, whether or not dating your work or not dating your work, or dating...
Denoting its chronological appearance.
Yes, denoting its chronological appearance. Tell me how you feel about it. Put it in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching, you guys. You guys are absolutely freaking amazing. I totally adore you. And if you like this and you want to watch more like this, just go ahead and click right over here to subscribe. And that's it. Say goodbye, Klee.
Good date.
Adios.